We've been talking about this for a few years, that if there's ever the opportunity for women, like, we want to be a part of it. We want to join the World Tour. And now we have an Olympic qualifier coming up in May to try to qualify Canada for the 2024 Paris Games.
I ran full speed into a guy that was 6'8", 280 right into his chest. And I was like looking around, and it looked like people were taking pictures from the stands. The coach just stopped practicing. He was like, we got this little high school kid here, and he's doing better than all you guys with communication and stuff, right?
Welcome to the War Scouts Basketball Podcast with Mike and Naim. I'm one of your co-hosts, Naim Cardinal, as usual. I'm here with Mike Swampy, a.k.a. Swampy, a.k.a. Swamp Bro, a.k.a. Swamp Dog, a.k.a. Swamp Juice, a.k.a. Swamp Sizzle, a.k.a. Swamp Nasty.
You forgot Swampasaur, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, Swampasaur. My bad.
Yeah, last week's edition.
Yeah, I gotta write these down.
Your teleprompter is just gonna keep going and going and going.
Yeah. How have you been?
I've been good. All is well. All is well over here in Alberta. Can't complain. Weather's getting nicer, although it was like minus 40, I think, for 2 days this past week.
Holy man, I'm pretty acclimatized to warmer weather now that I'm living over here. Like, I've been over here for 4 years now, and like I feel like the little bit of cold, and I'm just kind of like a baby about it. Don't know how I do in minus 40 these days.
You're just wearing shorts and a tank top over in the Okanagan. We're just suffering cold in Alberta.
Yeah. Just eating peaches all day. Yeah. What you had going on this past week?
So this past week, there's a whole lot of basketball especially in our central zone. It's basically all the zones are finishing up before provincials. So I was able to watch a little bit of our zone final, which is, I think it was Sylvan Lake and Wetaskiwin played Duke it out. So yeah, other than that, like, it's been a pretty chill week because we got booted pretty early, our poor team. But it has been nice. It's been relaxing, just to be able to sit and watch basketball and, kind of take a step back a little bit. Frees up a lot of time for family time and that sort of thing. So
that's good. I miss being in it, and I miss just like being around the game and stuff. Like it's like it's always exciting to like either like be a spectator or like be coaching or just be involved somehow.
Yeah. By the end of the season, you're kind of like, oh man, it's draining. It's a lot. It takes a toll. But sure enough, come around, the summertime, September, you're kind of like, okay, so how are we going to do it this year? We were entered a few tournaments. Things are looking like this. Did I run enough camps in the summer? That sort of thing. Did I touch base with any of my players? So leading up to it, you kind of get excited. It's definitely rewarding for sure. And it's something I often look forward to for sure.
Yeah, basketball season's kind of long. It's like not as long as hockey, but like it's a pretty long season.
Yeah, because we can start in November, and then we have Christmas break, and then we have exam break, and then we just hope that we can make it to spring break.
Yeah. That's when you still want to be playing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, how's your prep going for this tournament you're going to?
Yeah, the Onion Lake tournament's coming up. Prep is going okay. Just all what's there really to do? All you got to do is go for a few jogs, right? That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Stretch out a little bit. That's about it. Do some loser laps in the gym. That's about it.
Yeah.
Prep's going good.
That's good. Yeah. Never mind when you got to play like 3 games on Sunday or 4 games on Sunday.
How do you expect to prepare for that?
Yeah, you can't. You're prepared or you're not.
It's funny. I was talking with Dakota because we went and we're shooting around a little bit, and I was like, "Man, how the hell do you prepare for potentially 5 games in one day. And we went on, we were talking about just like tournaments we played at, and all these young college players, they probably already played 3 games, but they're still dunking in warm-up line.
Yeah.
We're just sitting down on the bench. Just, I don't know if I can
Ready
do
for
it.
another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get pretty wild out there.
Res tournaments, man. They get
Yep.
they get long, arduous. But when you get tired, you just yell at the ref and complain a little bit more, slow the game down, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when you gotta find tricks. Yeah. Slow that game down. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna be in Edmonton next week, so that's coming up quick. It's like 10 days away. See if we can get a run in somewhere. Yeah,
that'd be good. Maybe get an in-person pod here. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So last episode, we had our good friend Jacob Alexis on. What are your thoughts on that one?
Jake came in hot. Holy, it was just roast central.
Yeah.
You know that one time when you're talking about Naim, how he wasn't that good? Yeah, I think I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
Just giving away all the secrets on how to cross me up.
Yeah.
It was good. It was pretty cool hearing him talk about how passionate he was about his shoes. I didn't realize that there's obviously different kinds of collectors, different shoe collectors out there. There's OG collectors, and then there's sort of what Jake does, where he always buys 2 pairs because he wears a pair, and then when that one gets cooked, he he wears the other pair. And then the OG collectors don't wear them at all. They try and buy them as soon as they're out, and then keep them in a box where they ultimately crumble.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I was asking Jake, like, how do you even stop a shoe from breaking down like that? And he basically said, like, there is no stopping it. That's why you wear them. You just gotta wear them.
Yeah.
So wear your shoes, folks.
That's right. That's pretty cool. I learned so much from Jake about shoes in that episode.
Yeah.
He's a dedicated collector, and like that cool story he had about running through the mall.
Yeah.
Like, props, man, props. He's like, that's right, Res Ball.
Res
Yeah.
Ball.
Yeah.
He showed us so many shoes, and he ended up sending us a message, and I probably will release in due time, like, what he thought was like the top 5. Probably release like a short or something on that, or a reel or a TikTok, whatever. But he showed us so many shoes that I just decided to make a whole new video on our YouTube page. So if you haven't done so yet, go to YouTube, War Scouts Pod, and check out the one segment if you haven't done so already, where he shows off his shoes. Yeah, he showed off quite a bit, so I didn't want to have to go in and select everyone. Yeah. Otherwise the short would have been just like Jordan 11, Cement 3.
Yeah.
It's real choppy.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit of time on the shoes, like showing us all his pairs, and he's like, I had no idea like that the shoes were called silhouettes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I learned that.
What's a silhouette again?
I think the silhouette is like I didn't look it up, but like from my understanding, the way he was talking about it, it's like the reproduction of that shoe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reimagined version is.
Yeah, I think like the second coming of it, and whatever minor changes they have to it.
Yeah, as you can tell, we are not sneakerheads.
No, we're not. You can tell I'm very inexperienced, and you can tell by the story that Jake told. Yeah. Yeah. Just to give everyone some clarity about what happened that night. I was supposed to meet him at 4 a.m. and I slept through my alarm. He called me several times, and I missed all of his calls, and I just randomly woke up at like 5:15. And I looked at my phone and I saw all his calls and his messages asking me where I was. And I just hopped out of bed and threw a sweater on, a pair of basketball shorts, ankle socks. I brushed my teeth and I ran out the door. I was like, I slept in, and I honestly had no idea what to expect. I show up there, and because I didn't know if it was like we were going right in or whatever, because he was like trying to rush me, and like he's like, we got to get in line. He's like, there's only so many shoes. So I was half asleep, so I just like went out the door, and I got there, and
Yeah.
he's sitting there in front of the door on a camping chair with a winter jacket on, a blanket wrapped around himself, and he's like, Naim, what are you doing? Like in my shorts and my sweater. I'm like, I can't go home now because I'm gonna lose my spot in line. So I just stood there with him for like 4 or 5 hours, freezing, waiting to get in the
Freezing
door.
cold.
Yeah.
Jake just eyed you up and down like,
Yeah.
ankle socks?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I got a pair of shoes though, so it worked out. It just happened that I got the very last pair that was in the store. Like it was, yeah, meant to be. Yeah, it was so cool hearing his perspective, like from when he was growing up, and like sitting on the bench with like a lot of those older players like Waylon and all those guys, and watching them play in like these big tournaments, and hearing about like the lore of that Sixiga Invitational tournament was really awesome.
Mm-hmm. I was going to mention that I played in the Sixiga tournament. Shoot, what years would that have been? Probably like 2015, 2016, I think. I was just a few years out of college, and we ended up making it to final, but we were playing with one guy who had played for Team Britain. So he went to the Olympics, and I'm almost certain that he was coached by Nick Nurse, because Nick Nurse had coached the national team at that time.
No way.
And so like, yeah, he was at that time a little bit older, but he was freaking outstanding. He was an awesome player. Like, just he could shoot from anywhere, right? And he was like 6'5", 6'4", right? And so having that guy definitely helped. And then unfortunate thing happened. We played against a really, really solid team, a bunch of college guys and a few guys that played down in the States. We had a chance to either tie or win the game when it was like 10 seconds left. We had called the timeout. We like set up some scrambled play that we tried to run, and then we ended up trying to go for a three, and it wasn't me. I think it might have been like Waylon or somebody who shot the three, and it hit the rim. It was a baseline three, hit the rim, bounced to the other side of the baseline, and I just happened to be crashing in, and I got the tip. And as soon as I tipped it, I got bumped. So when I got bumped, it threw off my shot, but I got called for the foul. And so I had 2 shots to tie the game. And when I went up to shoot, and I was waiting at the line, this one guy, he was a Munia guy, a white guy, came up, and he had dreads, and he was like a phenomenal player, but he was a big guy, like 6'6", and he came up to me and just started talking so much trash to me right before I was about to shoot. And I was thinking, like, I didn't say anything to him. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm just trying to shoot this free throw, like getting in my head. Lo and behold, I made the first one, and then the second one, it hit front rim, back rim, out, and I missed it, and we ended up freaking losing that game. And it was the difference between, making $6,000 or 2,500.
Yeah. Oh man.
So I'll never forget that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall it was a fun interview with Jake, hearing all his stories.
Yeah, it was. He's entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our starting 5. Yeah. So for those of you who are just first-time listeners, if you're unaware, our starting 5 is essentially our shout-out section of our podcast. So if you know anyone who deserves a shout-out, just send us a message on our socials and we'll get them up here. First on our starting 5 this week, we have Blaze Ballantyne. Blaze and his team, the Frontier Raiders, won their senior varsity zone championship last weekend, and they are headed to the Senior Varsity Manitoba High School Athletic Association AA provincials on March 14th to 16th at Major Pratt School in Russell, Manitoba. They'll be ranked 7th heading into the tournament. So good luck, Blaze.
Second on our starting 5, shout out goes to Charlton Weaselhead. This is a birthday shout out to the legendary Charlton. His birthday is on Monday, March 11th. Happy birthday, Charlton. You don't look a day over 30, I'm telling you.
You don't.
Native genes.
That's right. Happy birthday, Charlton. All right. Third in our starting 5 this week is a shout out to Drew West, who won the 4A basketball Central Zones this past weekend. Drew plays for St. Joseph's out of Red Deer, Alberta, and he was also a Team Alberta member for the North American Indigenous Games U16 team, and is son of Augustana legend Tom West, who could shoot it from anywhere out there.
Mm-hmm. That boy.
Great job.
Fourth on our list goes out to Alyssa Pilley. Shout out to the University of Utah's women basketball player, Alyssa Pilley, for being named All Pac-12 team. This season, Alyssa is having an unreal season and is averaging 20.8 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, and 2.4 assists per game. We will be rooting for her during the Pac-12 tournament and upcoming March Madness.
That's right. Best time of year.
That's
and
right.
Fifth on our starting 5 goes out to all the women, especially the women in sport. It was recently International Women's Day, and we would like to acknowledge their amazing contributions to this place that we call Turtle Island. Hi. Thank you so much.
Hi. On to the world of basketball. First up, we have Talon Weaselhead and the St. Mary Saints, who have won the Calgary City Championships. Congratulations, Talon. Good luck at provincials.
Congratulations. All right. And also, Cashin Red Crow and the McGrath Zeniths are playing in the 4A South High School Basketball Championships tonight at the University of Lethbridge. And we'll hopefully provide an update on that result next week. Good luck, Cashin. And what else is going on right now? BC basketball provincials are taking place in Langley, BC at the Langley Event Center. The Gitalang Kias Nay Secondary School Breakers from Haida Gwaii took second at the BC 1A provincials. Congratulations. They're coached by Desi Collinson from Skidegate, and he let me know that half of the team members are actually from Skidegate. So congratulations.
Oh, that's awesome. In other news, it is the upcoming tournament, the 31st annual Kamloopa All-Native Basketball Tournament. They're full. Tournament organizer Charlie Fortier posted in a Facebook event page that every division at the tournament is full. There are 6 teams in the ladies, 10 teams in the men's, and 8 teams in the men's masters division. The tournament looks like there will be some tough competition in all divisions.
Deadly. All right. Should we head over to our interview?
Let's do it. Hi, Ishnish Magwech, Masicho.
Okay, we're here for our interview. We're very honored to have 2 Sasky weapons with us today. Paige Crozon Mike Tanton. We've known Mike for years, and he's been kicking our butt on the basketball court for a long time. And we're just getting to know Paige and getting to hear all about her career. It's been pretty awesome to connect with the both of them. They both have had amazing careers in the game of basketball, but their impacts of the game have gone even further. We'll introduce them both to you right now. So Paige Crozon is a national team athlete and Olympic hopeful on the Canada 3x3. Team Canada are the 2-time world champions, and Paige is currently ranked 5th player in the world as far as 3x3 goes. Crozon also played on the 5-on-5 Canadian national team for 6 years. She participated in 3 world championships, the Pan American Games, Commonwealth Games, FISU World Games, and other events. Crozon is currently the assistant coach for the University of Lethbridge women's basketball team and manager of the Living Skies Basketball League. Crozon was the first female coach in Saskatchewan to coach men's professional sports with the Saskatchewan Rattlers. From Humboldt, Saskatchewan, Crozon received a full ride scholarship to play for the University of Utah in the NCAA Pac-12 conference. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Management degree and a Bachelor of Science in Health Education and Promotion degree. While playing for the University of Utah, Crozon scored over 1,000 points and earned all conference and all conference academic honors. She played 5-on-5 basketball professionally for 1 year in the Premier German League. Crozon recently completed her Master's of Business Admin and is a mom to 4-year-old Poppy. She's already teaching Poppy how to shoot a jump shot. Great to have you here, Paige.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And Mike Tanton's just a deadly guy. That's all we have.
He's a model for the Toronto Raptors now. If you haven't heard or
Yeah.
seen.
Yes. So we saw you on some buses, Mike. That's pretty cool. In downtown Toronto.
I really felt sorry for everybody that has to wake up first thing in the morning and see that mug, like that, what a way to start the day, looking at me. I'm like, I felt bad for them, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right? And fortunately enough for me, they shoulder tapped me and asked me to come be deadly for a little bit, and I got a chance to go be deadly.
That's awesome.
We do have a bio for Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Tanton is a dedicated coach, mentor, and youth advocate whose identity goes beyond the basketball court as he is a devoted husband and father. What sets him apart is not just his excellence as a basketball athlete, but his commitment to building programs that benefit both Indigenous and non-Indigenous athletes of the next generation. Tanton takes pride in celebrating the legacy of Indigenous athletes, recognizing the importance of surpassing previous levels of success and setting new goals. Welcome, Mike. Welcome, Paige.
Thank you very much. Happy to be doing this with Mike.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to join us.
No, I think it's great being a part of this kind of thing, and as we touched on a little bit before we got live and stuff, I'm just proud of you guys for taking that leap. It takes a lot of it takes a lot to get over that whole concern about whether you're going to do it, is it going to work out, all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for taking that leap and helping to shed some light on Indigenous ball where it's needed, right?
Mm-hmm. That way. Hi, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. One thing I will say that something we've come to love about doing this podcast is hearing about our guests' journeys or their basketball journeys and sort of where they began with the game of basketball. And so whoever wants to go first, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and your basketball journey.
Mike, you just start us off.
All right. Sounds good. So my basketball journey started a little bit later than some others and whatnot. It wasn't until almost high school that I started. Grade 9, I tried out for the high school team and I got cut. Super bothered about getting cut, so I joined the wrestling team so I could choke some people out without getting kicked out of school. It worked out really, really good. I was excellent at wrestling and fighting, mostly because I had older brothers and whatnot. But I got all the way. I lost in the city finals. I got silver in my first year of wrestling and stuff, and I have to attribute a lot of that to just the rage that I had from getting cut from my team. But that summer between grade 9 and grade 10, my younger brother Mason, who was a lot more into basketball and into the game a little bit earlier, was heading to a John Stockton School of Basketball in Spokane, Washington. I decided to go with him and join him down there. And it was like a full day camps for 7 days, and it was from 6 a.m. for the morning workouts that went all the way until 9 o'clock at night every single day. It was just an amazing experience, and I think that kind of allowed me to fall in love with the game. I think we can all really say that the States approaches the game and creates a different kind of energy around the culture of the game down there, and I think that passion that they had and the way that they created the energy for the game of basketball really resonated with me. And it was something that allowed me to fall in love with the game. I had some success at that camp, and then coming back up to Saskatchewan and playing ball, it just kind of took off for me. I was playing ball every day and doing that kind of thing. And I ended up making my teams my high school team as I continued to grow. Had a little bit of a run-in with one of my coaches in grade 12 and stuff. He didn't like the showboat style that you guys know I love to have and showcase, and he didn't want behind the back passes. And so he just said, if you do another behind the back pass, he's like, you're off the team. And so a couple plays later, behind the back pass, he was wide open. It was the only way to get it there. He scored the bucket, and I was off the team.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, but it was close to the end of the year, and we had struggled that year anyways. I think there was just frustration with just the players, the coaches, everything as a whole. I think we went winless in that year, and so being kicked off the team wasn't the worst thing that was happening to me at the time. And then because I was young, I was only 16, turning 17 in grade 12. I went back for another year of upgrading, and although I couldn't play high school ball, one of the assistant coaches at the high school that I was at was an assistant coach for the pro team that was here. And he would clear my absences, and he would take me during the day to go practice with the pro team at the SaskTel Center. And so I really, my learning curve of the game happened really quickly in 4 months of practicing with that team. My skill level, my basketball IQ and stuff really took a jump. And I started to understand a lot of things about the game, and it really helped me in a lot of ways. That was also the first time that I was ever knocked out. Like, when they say you see stars and all of that kind of thing, I ran full speed into a guy that was 6'8", 280 right into his chest. And I just kind of fell back on my butt, and I was like looking around, and it looked like people were taking pictures from the stands is what it looked like to me. Like, it looked like flashes and stuff. Yeah, that was the first time I saw stars and stuff. But it was funny because the coach just stopped practicing. He was like screaming, "Someone call a screen," and like just yelling like that. And then he took the ball and he kicked it way up into the stands and stuff. And he's like, "We got this little high school kid here, and he's doing better than all you guys with communication and stuff," right? Which was awesome that he was giving me these props, but all these old guys that are getting paid to play ball and him kind of embarrassing them, saying a high school kid was doing better than them, they took it out on me when I was running off those screens and stuff for the rest of the next couple practices and stuff. But those are things you don't change. You learn as you go, and sometimes taking a bit of a butt whooping and stuff is something that's good for everybody. I really feel. After that, I traveled to a lot of res tournaments for the next couple years. Traveled all over the states and stuff like that. Lots of tournaments in North Dakota and Montana. And then I ended up trying out as a walk-on for the U of S. And I made the team at for the Huskies and played for the U of S. And during that first year, a couple things happened. I really struggled with the coach. We didn't really see eye to eye on a number of different issues. Mostly it was just his perception of Indigenous people and me just wanting some basic respect. That was the issue for the most part and whatnot. So I ended up to make a long story short, I ended up getting him fired for the comments and stuff that he was saying and whatnot. And, I think the U of S and some of the players that came after should probably thank me a little bit better, because it was the next coach that came in and put a team together that ended up winning the national championships for them with Linklater coming back, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it was crazy in that aspect. Basketball wise, the whole year it was a lot of ups and downs. I also tore my ACL towards the end of that year. I was playing in Lethbridge when I tore my ACL, and after that, the coach kind of just didn't even talk to me anymore. Once I was not really doing anything for the team, he didn't check on me, didn't any of that kind of stuff, right? And that's what I had expected and whatnot, knowing how things had gone for the first part of the season and some of that kind of stuff. It was just kind of what I had expected, but it really put things into a different understanding and allowed me to challenge myself to say something, which a lot of times our young Indigenous people, they don't stand up for themselves, and they'll just take whatever comes their way and deal with it, right? A lot of times, and even though we're very resilient people and we've dealt with a lot of different things, I think things are changing now where the expectations of us being treated just like anybody else and whatnot is there, and encouraging people to say things that are concerning or that they may have to address is something that I talk about when I do some of my speaking engagements. I tell people that story and why I got this gentleman fired, and the fact that I was living on student loans for so long and stuff like that, that when I filed the complaint, he actually called me and said, "Hey, Mike," he's like, "hope you're doing good and stuff. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I need a character reference letter from you." He's like, someone filed a complaint and stuff like that. And I just was hoping that you could give me a letter and stuff. And I knew, because I'd already talked with the AD, I knew that he still had another year to his contract. So it was worth at least $60,000. I just about told him to come get the letter and bring me 10,000 cash is what I was going to do. Cause I was just a broke student, right? Just hurting. I just about did it. But what I ended up doing is I just called him out. I was like, are you serious? I was like, I'm the one that filed the complaint. I was like, you're the worst coach ever. And I just reamed him out on the phone and stuff. And obviously he didn't get his character reference letter from me, but he did get a dismissal letter. So things worked out in the end, I think, for the better, for both the U of S and maybe not for me, but I just thought if anybody else was coming through those ranks and stuff like that, then maybe they wouldn't have to deal with that kind of thing. The other thing was I was friends with some of the guys on the team just previous to that had that coach, and some of them were players of different heritages. So there's some black players and stuff, and they had told me the same thing before I had went out and played with them and stuff like that. So I was already kind of wondering, what am I getting myself into? But at the same time, when you have an opportunity to play at home at your home university and stuff where people can see you and come and cheer you on, there's a whole different feeling for some of that kind of stuff, right? And that was kind of what I was hoping to have. It just didn't pan out that way. So that's for my playing career. That's after that I had my surgery, and then it was just res ball tournaments to death after that.
Still dominating though.
Well, now I'm doing more of the organizing. It's funny how things change and how you slow down and how your injuries just don't heal as quickly, right? And I think that's the biggest reason why I've kind of adjusted to more organizing and getting into to creating opportunities and that kind of thing for the young people. So that's my story in a quick couple minutes.
Thank you. No, that's perfect.
When you guys said that you're like, oh, we'll try to keep it between 45 minutes to an hour, I was like, Mike is like such a good storyteller and long-winded in the best way possible. I was like, this is going over for sure. So awesome. Am I up next now?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, I grew up in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and just played whatever sports I could get my hands on when I was a kid. I asked my parents to put me in literally every single sport available to me in my small community. But I started just playing basketball kind of on the driveway with my sister, and it was my way of getting out of dishes. My mom would be like, okay, time to clean up after supper. And I was like, oh, I got to go practice my free throws. And so every chance I get would just go onto our driveway to the outdoor court and just like fell in love with the game, playing against, like little boys in the neighborhood or whoever would play against me. Really have one older sister and she played, but I would always ask her to play, but I would always end up with her in tears because I'd always just be so competitive and so hard on her. But then in grade 9, I started playing high school ball in Humboldt and would drive into Saskatoon and start playing with the club team in Saskatoon. And then from there was identified to play for the provincial team and some other kind of club teams that were going on at the time. And then was very fortunate to be identified to try out for the Canadian national team, the under-17 national team, when I was about 15 or 16 years old. And then from there, just basketball kind of took off for me. I played on the U19 World Cup team after that, and as well various other events. And with playing for the national team, I was identified to go down and play for the University of Utah. So after high school, moved down to the States. I'd never even really heard of Utah prior to moving down there, and always thought I'd also play for the Huskies at the U of S. So played 5 years for the University of Utah, went overseas 1 year, played 1 year pro in Germany, and then I had my daughter, and then that's where basketball shifted for me. I didn't know if I'd have the opportunity to play again or where basketball is going to take me. And it was announced that year that the 3x3 basketball, which is half-court basketball, which actually Team Saskatoon had been like legendary for many years with Michael Linklater and Steve Sir. And I kind of followed their career and their time on the world tour. So I'd heard of it, but there was the opportunity to have a professional circuit for women that year. And then so myself, one of my teammates in university, Michelle Plouffe, and then her twin sister were like, we've been talking about this for a few years, that if there's ever the opportunity for women, like we want to be a part of it. We want to join the world tour. And so we traveled all around the world. My daughter was 8 months at the time, and we flew to Europe 4 times to play in all these pro circuit stops to try to earn points for Canada to qualify for the Olympics. And that's kind of how my 3x3 career started, and that's what I've been doing ever since. We've played 4 years now on the Women's Series, which is the professional circuit for women, and we've won that 2 times. Silver at the World Cup 1 year, and now we have an Olympic qualifier coming up in May to try to qualify Canada for the 2024 Paris Games.
Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed for that one.
Yes, exactly. And then how I met Mike, and he obviously does amazing work in the community, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, but there was a posting for the Living Skies Indigenous Basketball League, and so I applied, and then Mike called and was like, I want you to be a part of the league, and then that's how we got connected, and now he's been, a great mentor and friend ever since, and fortunate to have him in my life and the guidance he's provided over the last 4 years now, 3.5 years. Crazy.
That's so awesome. It's it's a huge honor for us to have you both here. Hearing your stories, we love hearing everyone's journey, like Mike said, and I mentioned that you're both Sasky weapons, and you are, and I wear my Saskatchewan shirt just in honor of that. So, it's great to have you both here. I was just reading about your career the last couple of days, Paige, as we were preparing for this interview, and Mike's as well. Just so many great accomplishments, and I read that you went to Utah, and I'm a big Oregon Ducks fan, so I was hoping we wouldn't. Yeah, I was hoping we wouldn't clash here, but it's great to have you here. Both of you have been playing basketball for a long time. We've known Mike for a long time, played against him in a lot of tournaments, and one thing I will say is, like, I've never seen Mike with a bad attitude on a basketball court. It's always been great to play against him and watch him out there. And I can just totally tell, like, even Paige, the way that you're still like playing ball, you're extending your career. I know that you both love basketball. Why do you love basketball so much? What made you make that connection with basketball and want to continue to play and make impacts in the basketball community?
Paige, why did you make your older sister cry all the time? That's what he said.
Which is also why I love the game, is because I'm like so competitive to a fault, and it's something that's gotten in my way in various aspects of my life, but also provides like such a healthy outlet for me, because I was this little girl and there's like home videos of like us eating spaghetti, and I'd be like, I eat more spaghetti than my sister, right? Just like so competitive since such a small age. But also I love that there was hoops in our neighborhood. All I just needed was a ball, and then I could go in and get the reps in and practice and get better and push myself. And I loved like the challenges that came and the development and personal development that came with the sport. Yeah, ever since I've gotten my hands on a ball, I've loved it. It helps that I'm 6'1", so much taller than many other females in my grade, and a huge advantage in the sport, obviously. But yeah, I think I just love the competitive aspect of it. And now playing with the team that I'm on now, that's trying to qualify for the Paris Olympic Games. It's the first time that I'm on a team where we have like amazing culture, great chemistry and camaraderie, and the feeling that you have like being a part of like something so special where everyone is bought in and they want to be out there and do great and like push themselves for the betterment of themselves, but also so the team gets better and equally happy for someone else's success as they are on their own, and just how special it is to be a part of a really great team that has a really great culture, which makes me love it even more. And obviously we all know the benefits that come from sport and being able to play sport. So now working with Mike and the Living Skies Indigenous Basketball League and be able to provide those opportunities so other athletes and youth can experience the amazing benefits of sports and remove the barriers so they have access, so there's nothing standing in their way, is what I find like so rewarding. And it's always so inspirational to work with Mike, because as you mentioned, like on the court, he doesn't have a bad attitude, but when he walks into the gym, just his ability to connect and get the youth excited and make them feel so special that they're part of something like much bigger than themselves, I think is so unique and so rare. And it's just been awesome for me to watch the impact he's able to have just with like his presence. And then obviously such an amazing story and resiliency behind all of that as well. So yeah, that's kind of my why now, and why I think the Living Skies Indigenous Basketball League is so important and so special.
I I think my love for the game and stuff came from the fact is I didn't have a really great home life when I was younger, and it being on the court allowed me to escape the realities of what was going on at home, and it became my safe space, my safe place to go and to play ball and not worry about anything. Like my mind would just leave the worries behind, right? They would be at the side of the court and stuff when I stepped on it and tied my shoes up. And that was something that I think the little bit of success that I had initially gave me such a huge confidence boost in myself that I needed at the time. And the team atmosphere gave me the sense of belonging and family that I desired at that young age, right? Had it not been that, I probably would have been a real deadly leader in a gang or something like that. But fortunately enough for myself and for the police service around here, I went and stayed in a positive route and did some things that were beneficial for myself and in turn benefited a lot of kids, right? And I think just that confidence level that the game gave me was huge for my personal development. And I really enjoyed the fact that there was so much individual stuff as well as team stuff out there. And I'm not gonna lie, like you guys have seen me play and stuff like that. I'm not a big scorer. I can score, but I was never really a good scorer. I love to ball handle. I like to drop dimes. I like to be fancy with my passes and stuff like that. And I was cool with that. If I could cross somebody up and make them touch earth, I was happy with that. That was my happy place right there, right? So if I could do that, that's like me scoring 30, and that's kind of how I felt, which is why I was a lot of people enjoyed having me on their team because I didn't shoot very much. I did if I was open, or else I'd be sitting on the bench. But for the most part, it's I just like to get people in places to score and try and make people better, right? And I think if I make people better around me, I feel better about that. They feel better about that. If it's kind of just a win-win. And again, that was me just trying to continue to build that family relationship that I longed for when I was younger and stuff, right? And I think that was a part of really what I fell in love with the game. Just being able to feel safe, feel like I belong, and to feel like this is something that's good for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that all the other things that Paige had talked about, all the other benefits and the leadership skills and all this stuff that helped me along the way, but for me it was something a little bit more simple and personal when it came to why I was doing what I was doing and stuff like that. And it just helped me in so many ways that people don't really realize and stuff, and I don't just mean it got me through a lot of rough times in my life, and I'm very grateful for it. And that's why I do a lot of the things that I do now with passing on the game to the younger people. And I just feel it's always my duty to share the knowledge that was blessed and gifted to me, right? That's never my knowledge to keep. It's mine to continue to share and to continue to gift and pass on. And that's what I firmly believe. And that's kind of why I do what I try and do, right?
I love that. And both of you just mentioned that like the game brought you, whether it was getting your competitiveness out or whether it's gaining confidence playing the game. Both of you ultimately talked about family and what the game actually brings you family. And so you both are co-founders. Did you both co-found Living Skies?
Mike and his brother Mason were the two co-founders. They had been dreaming about it for about 20 years. And then they brought me on as the first manager, and together we kind of built the league up with their vision and heart involved.
Awesome.
Well, I was just going to say it was just an idea until Paige could kind of organize those ideas and make them into a reality for us, for sure.
Yeah, because I think it's such an amazing initiative that you guys are doing with the Living Skies Basketball League. Can you guys just talk a little bit more about that and sort of what you guys are doing now within your guys' communities within Saskatchewan?
Go ahead, Paige.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the league, and then you can talk a little bit more about your vision. So it's Saskatchewan's first ever provincial-wide Indigenous Youth Basketball League. And so we have teams that compete from around 19 communities across the province of Saskatchewan. And so there's four components to the league. There's obviously the practices, tournaments, and games. And then there is workshops where athletes get to develop their skills beyond the court. There's cultural education sessions where we bring in elders, knowledge keepers, or other people from within the community, like hoop dancers, birch bark artists, some beaters. We've done like spear throwing and fire starting and other little workshops to help the athletes connect to their roots. And then the last part is kind of the personal wellness. We work with the Dream Brokers to ride cabs to practice, provide healthy meals at all of our tournaments, as well as like personal hygiene products to make sure that athletes' basic needs are all met, so then they can just come into the gym and focus on the game and get to come and play and be kids. And so we started in 2020 and have had over 2,100 athletes participate in the last 4 years, as well as like 93 volunteer coaches that have come in and stepped up and dedicated their time and energy to the league, and the athletes and youth in our communities have made it successful.
And I believe it's for Indigenous and non-Indigenous athletes as well.
Yeah. You want to go ahead, Mike?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, touching on what you had just said there, Mike, was we wanted everybody to be involved. Again, knowing that sport can be used as a tool for reconciliation, we wanted to share the knowledge and share some of the culture, celebrate the Indigenous culture that we were bringing and share that with new immigrants, newcomers to Canada, that kind of stuff, and making sure that they were able to understand what Indigenous culture actually was, so that they don't get the stereotypical version and start to look at things a little bit differently, right? So I think that was a part of an underlying issue that we wanted to see happen and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing for us was providing an opportunity where we could provide an opportunity where there was no barriers for their participation. That was huge. And the way that we run it is we run it tournament style. So obviously the impact of traveling to res tournaments and the impact that had on my life was what we wanted to build into this idea, and having people be able to come in and what we try and do is like a 1-day tournament and fit in as many games as we can in that 1 day. That way there's no extra cost for hotels and all of that kind of stuff. We feed the kids while they're there, all of that kind of stuff. And even especially when it comes to the provincial championships, we actually have buses that bring the teams in. So we even cover travel and stuff on some parts of it and whatnot, right? It's something that we're trying to figure out how we need to navigate as we move forward. And there's continued growth because now there's more and more teams wanting to get involved, and there's more people that are believing in our concept and our idea. And for us, it was never about let's make elite teams and let's try and do this. No, it's been a developmental league, but at the same time, we've had incredible athletes and players. When you look at Mike Linklater's son, Amari, he's an incredible player. He's playing at Nate this year and stuff too. But when he was in high school and whatnot, he was playing in the league, right? Although he was on club teams and different things too. So you'd had a nice example of someone like Amari who was a little bit more skilled than some of our other athletes, but playing in the same league to help bring all of the skill levels up, right? And so it's nice to see that. And another thing that Paige touched on is we've had a lot of coaches come on board as volunteers, and those are incredible. Like we really, to be honest, we need more and more coaches because there's so many kids that want to play the game in so many different communities. And I think one of the biggest things that's kind of holding us back from some of our growth is making sure that we have the coaches that we need in each of those communities, and kind of a community champion pushing those types of things, right? And that's kind of, I guess, the overarching idea behind the league and what we wanted to see happen and what we're kind of doing, right? It's for me, it was something that I thought about with my younger brother for a very, very long time, and we just didn't know how to make it happen. And then we ended up working with a lady named Tracy Burt, and we went in. She worked at Aboriginal Friendship Centers of Saskatchewan prior to Paige getting hired there, and we kind of put together a proposal for the federal government. And as soon as that proposal was done and we fired it off, Tracy and I'm sure you guys know her husband Mike Burt, who travels to a lot of so they moved back home, right? Mike's from Oklahoma and stuff like that, and they moved back home and whatnot. So she didn't actually get to see the league come to fruition, but she was a part of that initial group that kind of was laying out a little bit of the foundations before we actually got rolling and stuff like that. So she helped secure some money with the feds, and it was weird because we just got a call out of the blue one day saying, hey, some good news, your funding proposal got approved and stuff like that. And we're just like, what? Oh my God, okay, let's hit the ground running and let's get this thing rolling, right? So it all happened so fast, but was such a blessing at the same time. And it was exciting, especially for me. I know that a lot of people would prefer me to have looked at somebody else to have involved initially, to have someone Indigenous maybe. And there was hesitations even on Paige's side. Paige is like, I'm a settler and I don't know as much about the community and stuff like that. But I also said to her that something that's just as important is having allies. And I said what she didn't really understand at the time was that in our culture, we'll bring anybody in as long as they're willing to learn and to be a part of us and stuff like that. And Paige was more than willing to take the time and to learn things and to say, I just don't get this, but I want to learn. Right. And having someone that's willing to do that, to not only be willing to do that, but also have the resume that she has. Like, you're going on Naim for like 5 minutes trying to list some of the accomplishments and you didn't even touch on them all. Right. And having someone like Paige around to be able to give us a better, thorough understanding of what we need to make sure that we're doing for the athletes, knowing she's played at a Div 1 university, she's played pro ball, now she's on the national team. So she knows what works, what doesn't work, what's something that makes an athlete feel valued and welcomed, and knows the things that are kind of missing because she's seen it all over the world, right? And what better to have someone that has that kind of experience. And then on top of that, for her to be a mom, you always have a different understanding once you have kids. You know what kids need, you know what kids want, and you build things differently when you have kids, just because of the automatic things that are put into your mind, the automatic anxiety that the kids kind of put into you about, I got to make sure this is done and I got to make sure this works like this for them and all those types of things, right? So it was really, really excellent timing, and I think it was kind of meant to be the way it worked out. Because to be honest, I probably sound like a creeper the first time when someone had texted me and said that Paige had applied for this job. And so I went to Instagram right away and I was like messaging her, hey, Paige, this is Mike Tanton. Can you give me a call? And she didn't know me from a hole in the ground, right? And I was like, and then I told my wife, I was like, I just messaged Paige and told her to call me. She's like, you probably sound like a super creep. She's like, you better tell her what you're talking about. And I was like, I just want to talk about living skies.
and your name wasn't on the posting. So then I remember like, yes, I will call you. What is this regarding?
Yeah, because I was, like I said, I was behind the scenes helping lay out some of the stuff, but it was being run through AFCS and whatnot. So Paige is like, who is this rando that's just messaging me and stuff like that, right? It worked out though. We had some discussions and whatnot, and thankfully I was able to convince Paige to take a chance, and I think it worked out better that she was from Saskatchewan. And Saskatoon is not far from Humboldt. So coming back and helping out and getting things rolling was a nice segue for her to be able to come home and see family. And at the same time, you always want to make impact in the communities that you've grown up in and that you're raised in. I think everybody almost has a duty to do that. And so I was counting on the fact that Paige would want to try and do that and stuff. And because I had kind of stalked some of her profile stuff and whatnot, I knew she was a mom and stuff like that. And those are just some of the things that you think about as a parent. Like, what am I doing now? How am I laying things out and that kind of stuff. So again, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of counting on the Saskatchewan connection being a little bit stronger, and that being a bit of a pull, and it ended up working out. And we've been blessed by having her around, and for her to be as organized as she is, she's done amazing things for the league, as well as being able to juggle being a mom, traveling the world, just being deadly all around, right? It's awesome to see and stuff like that. And I just it's funny because at the tournaments when the kids come, Paige will be ripping around and shooting hoops with them and talking to them and stuff like that. A lot of those kids don't even know what Paige has accomplished. They have no idea and stuff. All they know is she's the lady that knows when the food's coming or what course they're supposed to be on. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
way cooler to them, which I love.
Yeah, to them, they're like, hey, can you get that rebound? Can you rebound for me? Like, they just don't even know. And I just love it because Paige is so humble. She doesn't care. She'll be like, yeah, I'll rebound for you, and gets the rebounds and stuff. It's just awesome to see. So in my heart, I know that we had the right person and that we reached out to the right person, and getting Paige involved has been such a blessing for the league as a whole, and for the things that I've wanted to accomplish. And like she said, she's been an incredible friend and stuff too, talking about ball and a lot of different things, and giving me a lot of insight and stuff, because my daughter was up and coming, and now my daughter's heading to college and stuff too, right? So there's lots of times where I've talked to Paige about different things, and she's given me a lot of insight and stuff that's been beneficial for me as a father, and how I need to approach things with my daughter and stuff. So it's been a very, very beneficial friendship that I've thoroughly enjoyed and stuff. So
what are the truest forms of reconciliation? I think you mentioned that earlier, Mike.
Absolutely, it's an incredible example for sure. And it's just awesome the way that it worked out. And I think that just goes to show that when you have when people have a passion for something, you know, it transcends cultures, it transcends so many different things. And I think that's something that we've always tried to showcase and hone in on in regards to how we get everybody involved with Living Skies, right?
Yeah, and that was one of the first things that you'd shared with me, Mike, is like, when Indigenous people make a program, they make it for everybody, and it's welcome for everyone, all abilities, all skill levels, all backgrounds, and that's what the league feels like. It's just like, come and be accepted for who you are, and that's been my experience as well.
Yeah, this is so amazing. I'm just sitting here in awe, listening to both of you talk and hear about the things that you're doing, and just feel so fortunate that Mike and I get to do this podcast together and meet people like you. And I think what you're doing is so needed. I think about kids in isolated communities and reserves and just small towns who need something like that. And yeah, what you're doing is so invaluable, and it's so appreciated. So thank you so much for that. So aside from Living Skies Basketball League, what is your involvement in the game of basketball today? I know some of you you've touched on that a little bit. Can you elaborate on that just a bit more for us?
Yeah, I will go first. And something that you had mentioned about isolated and rural communities, for me, it was something that provided just like so much hope and like a vision or a dream, and what that little fire can do for a person when they can set their mind on something and then work towards it, I think is really powerful. But I mentioned it earlier. This year, the past, I guess, 5 years, been training for an Olympic qualifier, or the 2024 Paris Olympics. But we're heading to a qualifier the start of May in Japan. So again, transition to 3x3 basketball, so just half court. So I moved away from the 5-on-5 game. But what I love about 3x3 is it feels like you're playing at a playground with your friends, but it's on the international stage, because we have like a DJ, and the culture is just a little bit different. So made the shift from 5-on-5 basketball to 3-on-3, and just have been dedicating so much time, energy, and effort into this Olympic qualifier that's upcoming. It's something that our team has wanted for 5 years. We had hopes to qualify for the 2020 Olympics, and then because of some politics, we're not able to. So this is a year for us, and have been working towards that.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of research, and I saw there was a quirky rule or something involved with the last Olympics.
Yeah.
What was that quirky rule?
So since 3x3 is a new sport and is part of like the urban sports that are coming to the Paris Games, there was, I think it's been taken out now, but to be inclusive to all countries, they said that only one team per country could go to an Olympic qualifier, men or women. We didn't know that initially, so we started at like the 100th ranked team in the world and worked our way up to the 18th ranked team in the world, and then like won 4 of the 7 tournaments that we competed in that year. But because our men had finished 12th in the world, they got to go to the Olympic qualifiers instead of us, which is disappointing because we worked our way up into like a qualification spot, the opportunity to go, and then we're never able to actually go to the qualifier to try to get there. So that was like devastating for us at the time. But I think it provided time for us to like reflect, and then also like now we're going into this qualifier way more mature, have way more chemistry, just way more prepared. So I think it was a good thing in the long run, and also way more driven, provided that necessary motivation. So now we're going in and hope to like even medal at the Olympics. We've talked about like we're setting our goals high. So yeah, that was unfortunate in 2019, but it is what it is now, I guess.
I think in Japan, you guys are in a pretty tough pool now. You guys are, I think it said the Netherlands is one of the other top teams that you guys will have to compete against.
Yeah, all the teams that are going to Japan are all like amazing teams and different skill sets. We're a pretty tall team, but the Japanese team will be there, and they're so fast and quick. I just watched them play 5-on-5 against the Canadian 5-on-5 team, and it looks like they're playing in like 1.5 speed. They're so fast. Such a good challenge for us. But yeah, there won't be an easy game there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like how am I supposed to top that, guys?
Mikey, you going to the Olympics anytime soon?
I would love to go and check out the Olympics. I would definitely be there to cheer Paige on. No doubt about it. And the rest of Team Canada. As for things that I keep myself going with basketball wise now is I do sit on the provincial sport governing body. So Basketball Saskatchewan, I sit on the board of directors there. So trying to influence a little bit of stuff that goes on within the province basketball wise, that's not Indigenous, but at the same time, our One Love basketball, we also run club teams. So we have 5 club teams. We have Supernovas basketball is our club team. So we have those teams that we're getting together and we'll be traveling and hitting the club circuit a little bit and stuff. So doing a lot of that kind of thing. And then anytime that there's any basketball events that are happening, people reach out to me a lot of different times for different things. I was fortunate enough to be asked by the chief and council out in Red Pheasant to come help run Winterfest and whatnot. So they brought us out there to kind of organize and coordinate the Winterfest tournament, which was awesome to see. It was great I was there all day, and that was actually my first chance to do some commentating. They had live streaming going on, and they had some microphones set up. So I had to pick them up a little bit and talk a little bit of trash. I made sure to give you guys a shout out and told some people to check out your podcast and stuff, obviously trying to look out for the brothers, but it's just nice getting back to it. I've been a little bit preoccupied with the NAG stuff as the chef de mission for Team Sask for the last 7 years. And now that my role with Team Sask is kind of winding down and stuff, it's allowing me to focus a lot more time to the basketball stuff that I am passionate about and that I enjoy. So still doing talks, still doing basketball camps and clinics, those types of things. And like I said, just trying to make some things happen wherever I can and be a part of spreading the energy that game gives us, that positive energy and that positive vibe. And I think that there's some exciting things coming up. Saskatoon's going to be hosting the women's series stop here for the next 3 years. Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. We'll be hosting it in August, so maybe put that down on your guys's calendar and stuff too. It'd be nice to have you guys come out and check some of that stuff out too at the same time. So there'll be a 3x3 and an urban games festival, and the women's 3x3 is going to be the anchor for that stuff. So it's going to be an awesome time and stuff like that, and we'll get to showcase some of our Saskatchewan hospitality and our jewel of Saskatchewan.
That's awesome.
I love bugging Paige. That's why I say little things like that, like the jewel of Saskatchewan. I know she hates that stuff and whatnot, but you know how we are in our communities. We like to laugh and we like to poke fun. If we don't poke fun at you, that means we don't like you.
Yeah, definitely. I just got to ask Mike. Appreciate you giving us a shout out on the announcing. Mike and I were watching. I got to ask, what was going on with the floor on the one end?
Yeah, we saw you out there. You're the Swiss Army knife. You're toweling the floor. You're reffing.
He does it all. There's nothing he can't do.
They were making soup and bannock in the kitchen, and the steam was coming out of the kitchen onto the floor right there, and it was making that corner of the floor super slippery. So I pulled a real deadly old school move, and I took Coke and I sprayed a can of Coke all over the floor, and then I smeared it all over and I let it dry, and then that corner was just deadly after that. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I promised everybody, I said, I'll use Coke instead of the Pepsi. We're,
Yeah.
we're good. There's
You
no
don't want to waste
Pepsi
that supply.
in the concession. Yeah. Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's what was happening in the corner. And with the people coming in and out from outside, with it being wintertime, there was a little bit of water that was getting onto pieces of and corners of the court and stuff like that. I was pretty worried about it. There was some players that took a couple nasty slips and falls and stuff like that, and just happy that no one was seriously hurt and whatnot, and just glad that we were able to rectify some of that. You know, you always want to see people playing their best and playing their hardest, and that no injuries and that kind of thing, which I think the morning and the end of the night smudges helped. Absolutely.
Yeah. So both of you kind of touched upon it. Thinking about those northern communities, Naim himself was raised up in the sticks, as we like to say, in isolated communities. And do you guys have any advice for the youth up there, and well, not up there, but just in the isolated communities?
I think something that kind of rings true for just about anybody is, if you're passionate enough about something and you put the time into it, it's going to bless you. It's going to bless you in particular ways. And something that we've tried to do that I know is tough is when you don't have coaches that have the knowledge base, they are not as comfortable of being able to pass on the knowledge, pass on those skills. So something that we've created with the help of Paige is we've created practice plans and lesson plans for people in different communities that we can share at no charge, just to share those resources, right? And I tell people, like, you can learn just about everything that you want on YouTube now. There's so many things that you can do if you really want to do it and stuff. The other thing that I say is don't find excuses. There's piles of excuses everywhere, right, for everybody and stuff like that. But find the reason why you want to do something and stick with that. And I try and encourage kids to do some of that stuff and to find how they can deal with things and whatnot. The other thing is, in a lot of communities, it's hard to find that escape sometimes when things aren't going good. And that's why I explained to a lot of those young people and stuff that basketball was my safe space. That's where I could go to get away from it all and stuff. And sometimes that's what you could use, whether it's hockey or any other sport. Could be even beating, for that matter. It doesn't even have to be sport, but if you find something that you're passionate about and you want to put the time, energy, and effort into it, it'll reward you in other ways.
Yeah, totally. And something that Mike has really helped me with the last 4 years is I can get like singularly focused on things and have experienced like some anxiety throughout my career. And as Mike mentioned, since like becoming a mom. So just making sure that, you know, he introduced me to like the medicine wheel. And obviously I put a lot of time and effort training. So in the physical portion, but then he's like, are you a balanced human? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing the things that you need to do to support like your mental health and also to have balance in your life? So like finding something that you love, but then also making sure that you're balancing it out to making sure that you're like a well human and well-rounded and able to handle like all the stresses and other things that come with doing something that you love and you're passionate about and focused on.
Oh boy. Well, we won't keep you guys for too much longer. We do have one little game we would like to play with the both of you. So if you've listened to our podcast before, we like to do a Would You Rather segment. The game is relatively simple. Your only objective is to choose one of the following options. You're going to be answering the question, which one is the best possible option out of the worst possible options? Each option is something we all definitely experienced playing basketball or res ball or native ball, any type of ball. So we had a theme for this one. The theme was just little nicks and ticks and aches and pains that happen on the basketball court. Okay.
I mentioned I was competitive. Is there a winner? I need to know now. If so, Mike is losing. Just kidding.
Your first option, someone steps on your foot. Second option, you cut your nails too short so they sting whenever you catch the ball. Third option, you experience a muscle cramp cramp in your calf or hamstring. And then your fourth option is you jammed your toenail in your shoe. I will say, I imagine all of you have experienced at least, you know, three of these four. Yeah,
Yes.
all of them.
Do you want to go first, Mike?
Sure. As a point guard, I think something that I've become accustomed to is not just having the short nails, but dribbling so much that my fingers start to split right on the ends. And then the blood that comes out and stuff, unfortunately, it gets on the ball, but it gives you a little bit of grip. So I'd probably take that.
It's an advantage.
Yeah. Almost trying to turn a negative into a positive there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was gonna go with the first option. Someone steps on your foot. I'm more of a 3-point shooter anyway, so don't jump high. So it's not gonna like impact my vertical at all. So it's like, sure, step on my feet. It's all my follow through anyway.
We've had a few sneakerheads on our podcast, and we had that one in there, and you know, some people are really particular about, you know, your shoes getting stepped on, for sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naim, what are you thinking?
I would probably go with someone steps on your foot too. Like I would feel like that's short-term pain, and these other things are kind of lingering. And like I've had a lot of muscle cramps in my calves when we've been playing, and like that can take you right out of a game. And even the jammed toenail, it's like a lingering thing. So I would go with someone steps on your foot, because you can get mad and start playing better after that. Like, you know, it wouldn't hinder you.
Mike's just rolling his eyes right now. Mike, are you a sneakerhead?
Absolutely. Not as much as I used to be and stuff, but I just hate. I don't like when someone absolutely steps on the new shoes. Oh yeah, that's I'm probably fouling out for sure.
Headlocks are coming.
Yeah.
The rest of the days are making a comeback.
Right.
Yeah. Swamp Bro, what is yours? What would you choose out of those?
I was thinking someone steps on your foot, but I've had a few jammed toenails, and honestly, they don't really bug me anymore. I've had so many of them. Nails are off. Like a nail falls off at least once a year for sure.
Yeah, I've seen his toes a lot of times.
We're editing that one part out.
No, that's awesome. I love it. I wasn't sure. I've been listening to some of your other ones, so some of the other questions that you have asked in your previous podcast, and so I was thinking about, I wonder what they're gonna ask us for that. So no, that's awesome. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Really appreciate the interview today. You guys were an awesome two guests. Really loved it.
It's been an honor for me as well.
No, we appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you guys for allowing us to talk about the league and stuff. You know, we want other people to be doing the same kind of things, right? Build out stuff for our young people and give our young people those opportunities. And I really feel like if we can think about the things that we didn't have growing up and we build out those things, then we're headed in the right path, right? And the other thing is how are we building these opportunities for people to come in and take over for us? How are we building and setting the plan up for someone to come in and do better than we did, right? We should always be doing that too. So if there's anything I could leave you guys with, and while thanking you guys for what you guys are doing currently for us and for other people, and just sharing all the res ball stories, I just love it. So thank you guys for what you're doing. Truly appreciate what's going on, and I love the energy that you guys are bringing to all this discussion and stuff like that. So thank you for everything.
Yeah. Thank you.